Segue to what I want to talk about in the reconciliation bill. A lot of back and forth on this. Here's how I understand the state of play. There is going to be a reconciliation bill. Everyone agrees on that up to Joe Manchin, right? There's 50 Democrats ready for that and the president, Joe Biden. So is that part is clear, right? I'm right that there will be a reconciliation bill that moves this year.
I expect that is true.
Okay. What is in that bill, the size of it, and whether whatever infrastructure compromise is ultimately signed only contingent on his passage are the things being fought over right now? Is that also right?
Chris, one of the things that has bothered me in the last month or so is there's a lot of talk about numbers, 6 trillion, big number, a lot of talk about process. You know what there is not a lot of talk about? About the needs of working class Americans and what we have got to do. So the truth is that real wages in America today are lower than they were 48 years ago. The very, very rich are getting richer. And what some of us are saying is if we're going to retain the faith of the American people in their government, we're going to have to stand up for them and not just the big money interests. So let me just tell you what is going to be in this bill. First of all, you got to deal with climate. Right now, the West Coast is, aflame in a sense. It's record-breaking heat wave, Australia, etc. We have got to deal with climate. And if we do not significantly invest in transforming our energy system, future generations will never forgive us. Today, Chris, we have the highest rate of childhood poverty of any major country on earth. That is why we have to extend or make permanent the child tax credit, $300 per child for working class families. Does anyone deny that our child care system is totally dysfunctional? We have got to deal with that. In the richest country on earth, you got elderly people who have no teeth in their mouth because Medicare does not cover dental. We don't cover hearing aids. We don't cover eyeglasses. We have got to do that. We have got to have universal pre-K. We have got to have a major housing bill because you got 500,000 people who are sleeping out on the streets and 18 million households spending 50%.
Thank you, Madam Secretary, for doing this. There are various figures about this, so I'm curious if you know how many barrels of oil does the U.S. consume per day?
I don't have that number in front of me, sorry.
So some suggest it's about 18 million, which would suggest you're releasing less than 3 days' worth of supply from the petroleum reserve. Why is that enough?
Well, what we are doing, plus what other countries may be doing, which will be less than what we're doing because we have the largest amount of strategic petroleum reserves, we believe will be this bridge. I mean, the Energy Information Agency has said, for example, that in December, this is what they have projected. Now, again, it's probably more of an art than a science. Projecting is subject to a lot of different volatility, but that in December, the price will be $3.19 a gallon. And then in January, continue to go down. So this is really a question about a short-term strategy that allows us to make this bridge. So it's not, we're going to not supply all of the oil for 3 days, obviously. We will be releasing it over a period of time. And we will have a certain amount that each particular cavern is releasing. But we're not saying that we're going to be supplying all oil for the country. We're just going to try to do what we can to temper.
And it's coming over several weeks then, you said?
Mm-hmm. It will be. Well, first of all, we are not going to release it all at once. It will be thoughtfully done over the next bit of time, and it will be dependent on those who bid. So that takes a little bit of time to do.
But listening to you just now, it sounds like you're saying price is going to hit a certain amount in December and then down into January.
Yeah,
it
will be over a few weeks. It'll be over.
So we're looking at increased prices continuing through the Christmas season.
Well, we're hopeful that this will, because it's increasing supply and it's the largest effort ever, we are hopeful that there will be a lid. Although some of this, honestly, there has been movement on oil. The price of per barrel has dropped about 10% since this conversation started and was out there. So we're hopeful that prices will be stabilized and start to move down. We are not saying that there is going to be some dramatic difference, but we also are recognizing, and everybody needs to, I think, be a partner in letting people know that last year was an anomaly because demand during COVID for gasoline was so low that the prices were so low. And when demand is high, the price goes up. And demand now has exceeded supply, and we are doing our part to make sure that we can alleviate as much of that pain as possible.
Rachel. Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Madam Secretary. So bottom line, how soon will Americans see prices at the pump drop, and how long do you expect that to last?
Yeah, I'm not going to make a prediction about how much and how long. What I'm saying is that this is the largest amount that we've ever done, and it won't happen tomorrow, but it'll happen over the next few weeks that people hopefully will start to see the difference.
Before the end of the year, before the Christmas holiday?
I think that people will start to see some tick down over the next bit. But again, we want to make sure that the gas prices at the pump are not being held artificially high for some reason.
Everybody, we have some breaking news about the fourth stimulus checks. The Illinois House is now proposing a plan for a new round of state-issued stimulus checks. That's right, folks. If you live in the state of Illinois, you will be receiving a state stimulus check. But House members intend to introduce legislation. It is done in an attempt to curb coming inflation rates by helping with the cost of living. The amount of the checks will be lower than those issued by the federal government since the crisis began. An initial proposal would send $200 to people making fewer than $75,000 per year, and $400 to joint filers making less than that $150,000 per year. But still, 2020 tax returns must have been filed before October 15th in order for you to receive this extra cash. Specifically in the state of California, payments are sent out based on the last 3 digits of your residence zip code, and these state stimulus checks are expected to be mailed to homes throughout December and into the new year. A stimulus check right before Christmas would definitely help many Americans across the country. Do you guys agree? But according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, Social Security beneficiaries will also be receiving an extra boost in monthly checks. Retired workers are expected to receive a boost in January, as Social Security checks are set to rise to around $1,600 a month. Stimulus payments in the new year will be the first to include 5.9% rise, and that's the highest since 1982. But prices have increased by 6.3% over the last 3 years. Over the last year, retired workers on average pocketed around $1,500 in October, and their payment will increase to around $1,600 when the new COLA is applied. But there are even more calls for the Biden administration to introduce another round of stimulus checks to help all cash-strapped residents amid the crippling inflation rates. In October, prices soared by 6.2% compared to last year as inflation hit a 31-year high. But Democrats are refocusing their message on Biden's Build Back Better bill as in response to inflation concerns from voters and key centrist lawmakers. Plus, the measure calls for $1.75 trillion over a decade on a variety of Democratic priorities from healthcare subsidies to clean energy. It would give the government power to negotiate prices for certain medicines. Thank you again for your support, everybody. I truly appreciate it. If you have any more questions about the fourth stimulus check, tell me in the comments down below. Until next time, have a great day.